Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good evening and welcome to Urban Lifestyle Cafe. I am Michael, your bougie black brother, and I'm here with my co-host and wife, Alicia.
Hello.
And yesterday we took the opportunity and a break from seeing all the Black Panther movies over and over again and stopped and saw a movie that I was very, very interested in last year when I saw the previews and I wanted to read the book. It's called Annihilation. If I said that properly, Annihilation. And it's a book by Jeff VanderMeer. And it's a three-part series, actually. It's a three-book series called the Southern Reach Trilogy. So it's like three different books. But this was the first of the three books. And this book describes a team of four women, biologist, anthropologist, psychologist, and a surveyor, who set out into an area known as Area X. The area is abandoned and cut off from the rest of civilization, and they come out as the 12th expedition from when it actually started. And what the problem is, with the other expeditions, people either disappeared, committed suicide, had aggressive cancers, or had some serious mental trauma. And most of those was men, so this time they wanted to have a team of women going out. Now, the movie the novel won a Nebula Award for Best Novel and Shirley Jackson Award for Best Novel. So, a critically acclaimed novel. So, what we have is interesting guy. I think it's Jeff Garland, who actually is the director. Alex Garland, my mistake.
Right, Alex.
He did Ex Machina, and that was a really strange and really exciting movie. Remember that one, Beach?
Yes, I remember that.
And it was something that I really didn't expect. And when I went through the whole thing, it was kind of like, wow, how creative was this? He did 28 Days Later too, but the one that really stands out was Ex Machina. Or, if you talk to someone Hispanic, they'll say Ex Machina. But it depends. So we went to the movies, and previews was like really, really crazy with the shimmer. And that's what everything was surrounded by. So we went in, and Alicia, what was your thoughts with this? Well, let me ask you first. What was your thoughts before? Because I kept saying, I want to see this. I want to see this. Did you take the time to look at it, or you said, it looks interesting, I'm just going to go when I go?
No, it really did look interesting. Because, I didn't look at the previews too much. We only seen the previews when we were at some of the movies that we were going to see. And so it was like really interesting. So, now, thinking about it, I was like, okay, so this is another powerful woman movie as well.
Yeah, all women.
Yeah,
basically.
It was all women. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the movie started and they started talking about it, and then kind of understanding from the beginning what was really going on.
Right.
It was that beginning part was very short about her history.
Yep, it was.
So just assuming, my visual mind was thinking, okay, so she was in the military.
Yep.
And then she became a teacher at a college.
Professor,
okay, at a college. And so, it was like, and she was talking about DNA.
She was a biologist professor.
Yeah. So she always emphasized on the DNA. So I'm like, okay, the curiosity is to say, what's that got to do with where's she going?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, her husband came back. Mm-hmm. And then the curiosity is to say, okay, so, and then how he came, it was different.
Right.
It was like either he didn't want to see her or he didn't know who she was.
Right, because he was
very
confused.
Yes, exactly. Because she was like, oh my God. But then the thing is how did he get there and how he knew?
Yep.
where to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's another thing I was trying to find out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, it goes into the part where when they took them both, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then they say, okay, we can't let you go.
Yep.
So that was another thing that was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, like what the hell is going on?
Right. But it was just, again, that little short time,
Right.
her connecting up with her husband, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That happened. Then it's like, okay. So as we go along, you've seen how they tried to make it give you, in that short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say in 20 minutes of the movie.
Right.
They try to give you as much information, but in short spurts.
Yep.
About her.
Yep.
And her husband. And then the lead person for the
psychiatrist
for the project.
Mm-hmm.
She was weird too.
Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with her?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because so the movie was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I'm like, and then I was like, no, because it just given a little bit more that you can't say is a bad movie.
So it kind of grew in different ways.
Yes.
So as it kind of went down a little bit, then it brought it right back up. Or it seemed like you was getting what was going on, and then you didn't figure out what the hell was going on next. So there wasn't no true answers throughout the movie.
Right.
You had to continue to find out what's next, and where did that come from, or what, and then they slowly started giving you answers.
Right, because
things.
you first, she didn't know, she had to stay there. It's almost like they were waiting for her to volunteer herself to go through the shimmer.
Right.
She met.
So what's the shimmer?
It was the actual like the glow, the thing that they had to go through. That was on
it's
the
like
episode.
A barrier.
Yeah. Okay.
Between the regular world and whatever behind it, that they was going to find out what the hell was going on.
Which was the lighthouse.
Well, everything within that, but it originated at the lighthouse.
Right.
And the only way you knew it originated at the lighthouse is because the multiple expeditions, when they started, it was closer to the lighthouse. But the shimmer kept moving forward and forward and forward. So as the shimmer began to grow, more expeditions went out, and so on and so on and so on. But the shimmer, or the border of where the area X was, grew, but the border was called the shimmer.
Right. I mean, so because it was just getting there, and when they, she wasn't being very friendly.
No, not at all. She was really distant, really like, I don't want to say aloof. She was just I don't deal with people. I'm not a really personable person. And she was like that throughout the movie. Right.
And then the women say, okay, we need to meet. You're here. Let's talk. I'm going to meet you. They all introduced themselves. So there was 4 plus the doctor.
Which made the 5th one. Yeah.
They made the 5th one. And they went through
the shimmer.
Yes. And so before that, she actually told the doctor, well, why are you going? Remember, what do you have to offer to go through there? You don't have no kind of...
no expertise or anything.
Yeah. So, but as we were going along, they explained why.
So the mental state of them was really what happens once you go through there.
That was crazy. Because as you watch them sitting down, they explain their life, or somewhat of their life.
Right.
But you didn't think of their mental state.
Nope.
You really didn't, because you think, okay, so this woman is a paramedic. Okay,
from the military.
Right, from the military. The other one, the other one was what?
Like a surveyor.
Right, she was a surveyor. That was the Hispanic one. Or was it?
No. The Hispanic one was the medic.
Okay, the medic, and then the other
black girl, she was a
surveyor, was she?
Anthropologist. I think.
Okay.
And then the other white girl was the surveyor.
Okay, right. She was a surveyor. So you had all of them, and you was like, okay. So a lot of them told their little story. Like one lost her daughter. The paramedic, she was crazy or something.
I think traumatized during the war or something like that.
Yeah, military. And then the girl who was the with the glass,
the anthropologist. Yeah. She was cutting herself.
Yeah, yes.
Because she was like. She was away from the world. She felt that she was not part of the world.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So when they got in, so it was like the first thing that was crazy was the tents were far away.
Yeah, they were all separate from each other.
Yeah.
But did you miss it though?
What's that?
So they said, when did you put up your tent?
I remember, I heard that was like after they put the tent up, and then she's like,
when they woke up.
Yeah, when they woke up, do you remember anything coming up? They're like, no. So
you don't know how long they've been there?
Yes.
So I was like, whoa, okay, all right. Because
they were trying to answer that. Well, how long you think we've been here?
Yeah.
And they was like,
overnight. I don't know.
No, it's like 2 weeks. Maybe it was like overnight. It's like, no, it wasn't overnight.
Yeah,
it's a little bit longer.
Couple of days. Yeah, maybe a week. But they never knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they started going through there, and it got a little weird from there.
Weird in what way though?
So it was like they were just walking, and they really didn't know where they were going because they didn't have the compass.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling them.
What was the compass doing?
It was just spinning.
Yeah.
It was just.
So they had no direction.
No.
They just had to follow the natural ways
the one who was in the military was the one like, well, you follow the sun, you know where the sun goes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that. So I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Everybody knows that.
Exactly.
I was like, when she said that, I'm like, I don't think everybody knows that.
Right.
But it was just, as they were walking in, they found the first place. They got to the first place.
Yeah, but their actual destination was the lighthouse.
Right.
So they had to get to the lighthouse because the lighthouse was the originating point when a meteor hit, which started off the shimmer and created the Area X. So their destination was Area X, but they just had to get there.
Right.
So back to your point, then they stopped at a house. They said that because there was a small town there, the psychiatrist had some notes and telling them there was her voice and all her whole demeanor was just kind of like strange.
I know,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She would talk like, there's a building that we have to get to.
There was no emotion.
Nothing. And it was kind of like, and the way she even asked questions was like, she already knew, but she was like, I want to get into your head and everything.
So the first location was the military.
No, it wasn't. It was the house.
It was the house.
It was a house on that lake. Remember? Because
yes, it was
on the lake, and that's how they got into the boat.
And that crocodile came out. Oh, yeah. And that was crazy because I was waiting for somebody to die.
Yep.
Because in my mind was like, okay, so we got all these women. I say, okay, which one is not known who's going to die first?
Who's going to die first?
I wanted to turn over to, hey, babe, which one's going to die first, babe? I was like,
the white girl.
Yeah, I was thinking the white girl or the Spanish one.
Nah, so I kind of, and I'll let you know some things later, but I didn't think it would have been the Hispanic girl. But anyway, so when you went through that, and so I'm gonna back up a little bit. While they was in there, the visuals of the area was amazing. It was so many different colors. It was flowers on top of flowers. The moss and the fungus was multicolored. The grass grew differently. The trees were different in certain ways. It was like, whoa, what the hell? You know what I mean? So the sky sort of shimmered with different colors and everything too. So it was a whole visual area that they was in, and it made them feel a certain way as well. So, but that was growing on you, and it was slowly like, is the area doing something to them? You know what?
Yeah,
by being there.
Yes,
was it doing something?
That
to
was
them?
interesting too. That was interesting too.
So the crocodile grabbed her, and they, fucking blew him away. But he was huge. But come to find out, he was it was a mutated crocodile because the teeth and everything was totally.
Because she said the DNA from the actual land he was a part of that.
Yeah. And his teeth was a different way because it was like teeth from a shark, but in the mouth of a crocodile. And she was testing because the biologist knew species and stuff like that. So,
which was interesting because when she seen that, and as they talked about it,
right,
and you was like, okay, that was it was interesting that it was said, but later on in the movie,
you kind of saw some things.
Yes.
Yeah. So after they went down and they killed the crocodile, they got into some boats and they was going downstream, and they just saw different things. But when they got out of the boats, that's when they found the camp.
Yeah, they found
the military camp. That was before the Shimmer got that far. That was the base camp.
Because that's right. Because when it kept moving, so when the last group of people went in, they were close to the camp.
Yeah, but then it engulfed the camp, so they had to move further out like that. So they wind up there. Go ahead.
So once they got to the camp, it was interesting because I was waiting for them to find somebody.
Yeah, that was kind of like still
alive. Yeah. So, but that didn't happen. But they found other things, and that it was crazy.
They found the videotape.
This dude was videotaping everything. No, okay, this is the question I had. Okay, because it was months since those people were in there.
Right.
And them video cameras still had a charge.
I know, baby. I know. There's a lot of them that had like a charge for like, really?
Yeah, I know. That was one of my questions. I'm like, dude, you telling me?
Hey.
You telling me that? And then you close. Then you was able to close the camera up. If they were recording and they were you was able to close the camera up. You was able to close. So that was my little pet peeve.
Right.
And I figured like you saw the same thing too. Yeah. But when they saw the viewed the camera, one was the fact that she didn't tell them that was her husband. She knew. They all knew. Well, did they knew?
No, they didn't know. Only the psychiatrist knew.
Right.
So here's the thing. I think we kind of missed it, but her husband went on an expedition about a year ago. And she was asking what's going on since he left, and they didn't have any answers. And the previous expeditions, they didn't mention what happened to them. They just directly took her there and said, do you want to go? Or she kind of volunteered to go.
Right.
And the psychiatrist kind of expected her to want to go because she kind of thought that her mental state was, I need to find out what happened to my husband.
Yeah, now let's not forget her husband was still alive.
Yeah, he had some internal injuries.
That they expected him to die.
Yeah, they expected him to die.
But again, that was a questioning thing.
Yeah, but we're going to go further
in
with that.
So, which was interesting because on the tape,
her husband was on the tape.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but not only that, he cut open
one of the guys.
Yep. And they showed his whole insides moving.
Yeah. Like it was almost like a big snake or intestines were just active in his body. And it was kind of like, yo, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So
yeah. And so what happened was.
No, after that, they went down into the, it was like a pool. And one of the guys' body was split. Half of his body was at the top of the pool. The other was at the bottom of the pool. And as his body split, things grew out of it. So whatever happened, it was like flowers and moss and fungi. But it was fluorescent, multicolored. And it was kind of like, but they never said it. They didn't say, what the fuck happened?
Right.
You noticed that? They didn't say what happened.
No, they thought, they like, oh, did some camera tricks.
Yeah, well, one of the girls was like, "This is just something that's tricking your mind." But when they saw that body splattered up against the wall, they was kind of like, eh. And then the psychiatrist said, "Well, we're gonna camp here for the night. We're not gonna." They was like, "I don't think we should be here." But it's like, "No, we're gonna camp here."
Yeah,
for the night.
she was really like, I don't give a damn what you say.
Yeah, this is what we're gonna do.
Right.
So then they made the decision that, yep, that we're gonna stand there. But the biologist saw a map on the wall, or a diagram on the wall, showing the whole perimeter, and it showed that somebody should have been on watch. And she said, based on this, somebody was watching the perimeter. I think we should have somebody watching the perimeter.
Right.
So, and then it went from there. Go ahead.
Well, the whole the fact that the biologist did a test of the DNA or something like that. I think she pulled it from the body.
Yeah, from the body that was splattered up against the
right,
wall.
and she was looking at it and she was just it was, to her, was just something wasn't right.
Yeah, but it was fascinating to her,
right,
'cause she's a biologist,
right,
and she was like, this DNA is changing, and so she saw that things were changing in here, and nothing was stable, and the DNA looked proper, but it was changing.
But not only that, you started to see the people, the women were starting to change too.
Yep.
So it was just a weird. I mean, it's almost like as they got a little closer, things started to change in their bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the one girl, we said died early. Yeah. The what is it? The military girl?
Yeah.
The assessor?
The surveyor.
Yeah, surveyor.
Yeah.
She died early.
Yeah.
Because some mutation monster or bear.
Yeah, it was a bear.
They said bear. Yeah. And it came and just like,
Just
that's all I remember.
yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
That's all I remember.
Because the first thing was, something just came through the gate.
Yeah, he said, wait a minute, somebody cut through the gate.
And they was like, hey, is everybody okay? And then you hear,
whoa.
and fucking took off.
I know.
I was like,
he dragged her. She just kept screaming. Then you didn't hear no more.
kept hearing her scream. So this was really weird. Mm-hmm. You heard the way she was screaming until she stopped screaming. She screamed and screamed. She stopped. She screamed and screamed. She stopped. She screamed and screamed, and that was it.
Right. And
then when they got to the hole in the gate, they was gonna run out there, but the screaming stopped. And
right.
They called her name, and then it was kind of like, whoa, did that just fucking happen?
Right.
And then they took off.
Yes.
So it was like, what the fuck we gonna see next?
Wow. If y'all can see my hand right now, I'm going up and pull, because that's exactly what it looked like.
Yep.
But you didn't really see the bear. Kind of. I was trying. I mean, did you really see the bear?
The image in the night was so quick that it was grab, gone.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, damn, it's crazy. And so it was like, when they left in the morning, they was like, we're gonna find her. Let me find her body.
Yeah, we need to find her body.
Yeah. So she did find the body, and she was like, she was gone.
She was just ripped apart.
Yeah. She was ripped apart, and she came back and she said, no, she's dead.
And they looked at her. Mm-hmm. They kind of like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah. So let's go. We need to leave.
But then they just left.
Yeah.
And then they wind up at a house.
Yes, they sure did.
So this was
a very secure house where you can close the windows and lock it, close the door and lock it, and be safe and sleep. Everybody can sleep in peace.
Yeah.
That ain't happen.
But that wasn't the real issue. So when they walked up and they saw images of flowers that grew, and it looked like it was...
They grew into like people.
They grew into images of people.
Yeah.
But they was like, okay, they grew this. She was like, no, the actual plants grew into this.
Yes.
This wasn't something and the plants grew on top of it. The plants grew in the shape of people. Like a child.
Right.
A middle child and like two adults and different things like that. So it made it like, wow, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? So they saw that, and the anthropologist said, these things are changing. You know, there's a mixture in the DNA in causing something to happen that way. And so that's when the biologist took a sample of the flowers and said, this shit has human DNA part within the flower. And they would just kind of discuss things when they was on the inside. And then all of a sudden everybody went to sleep. And then in the middle of the night.
No, but like you said, she tested the her DNA, right? You mentioned that.
Remember she poked herself.
Right.
And
that's when she knew that she was part of.
No, that she was changing as well, because she could see her DNA starting to look like the other stuff that she did.
Right.
But then she went to sleep.
Right.
And then who woke her up?
Oh, Lord Almighty. The Spanish girl.
Yep.
The paramedic.
Yep.
She went crazy.
Yep. She went crazy.
Yeah, she was like, you didn't tell me everything. She took the gun handle and knocked her ass out. But didn't realize that she knocked all three of their asses out.
Yeah, she didn't know that all of them was all tied up.
And she just got crazy. She
was like, this is just something, man. You know, if I was tied to the chair, you would do me this way, but I'm not the one tied, and blah, blah, blah. And she was just going on and on. But what she found was there was a locket on the biologist's neck that had her husband's picture in there. And they was like, did you know? And the psychiatrist like, their mouth was all taped up, so that all they did was and then the other one, did you know? And the anthropologist was like, but then she was like, yeah, this is something else, y'all gonna tell me what's going on, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, and this was like, what the fuck? You heard the surveyor screaming.
Yes.
I was like, what the hell?
Yes.
And she was like, and she was like, whatever her name is. And she ran out the door. And all you hear is a lot of shuffling, and then you hear some shooting. And
it was that bear.
And then they was like, what the hell? And then you hear boom, boom, boom. And then you hear it do it again. And the bear screamed like her. And it was like, and I was like, how the fuck is this bear screaming like that?
He had recorded her voice in his body
some
kind of way.
So what they figured out once they, everything came about was somehow her DNA and the bear's mixed, but she was but part of her voice was embedded in the bear.
Yes.
And the bear was just coming around. He was sniffing them and growling. He didn't really do anything yet.
Right.
But then he kind of just was kind of like growling at one of the girls that was sitting there, the anthropologist. But the Spanish girl came back with the gun. And
tried to kill it.
And start shooting it. Blah, blah, blah.
And he mauled her.
He just mauled the shit out of her, just like what was the one with DiCaprio?
What?
The Revenant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Yes, that was kind of disgusting.
Yeah, so he was just ripping her, and I was like, what the fuck?
And then he was smelling them.
Yeah, no, that was before that, baby. And then after, because he was smelling them and trying to figure something out. And then when she came back and shot them, then he came back and tried to kind of eat them because he was trying to maul the other girl, the anthropologist.
Yeah, and then who shot him up? Who shot up the bear again?
So the biologist did something, and then the bear came at her.
Right.
So the anthropologist, he broke the chair, so she was able to get up and get the and shot the shit out of the bear and everything.
Yes. So that's when the psychiatrist, after all that happened, the bear's dead. Mm-hmm. And the psychiatrist said, I'm leaving.
Yep.
I'm going to go to the White House.
I'm going to the lighthouse. I'm out of here.
And I was like, don't you care about the rest of the people that's standing there?
She was like, fuck y'all. And she was gone.
Yeah, she sure was. In the middle of the damn night. They said, ain't it dark outside? Don't She's like,
I got to get there before such and such.
Yeah.
And they was like, her and the other girl was like, what the hell?
That was crazy, too.
Yeah, so she just took off and shit.
And so the next crazy thing was...
So the anthropologist was sitting outside with her jacket off because, like they said, she always wore a jacket because you would see the scars
on her arms. Yeah.
So when she had her arms revealed, you see that the plants and everything was coming out of her scars. And you can see them kind of just growing out of her. And she basically said, being here, you know, I'm not going to go to find anything. You can go and do this, but I'm not going anywhere because I'm part of this.
Yeah, she was part of.
I am part of this.
of the land or whatever she was.
And you know, I don't really know exactly.
So
what she said.
she follows her because she just walking away.
And she just walked away, and she was, come on, such and such.
And then she saw her. Then when she finally got around the corner, she saw that she was part like the rest of them.
Yep.
So that's what really happened to. That's how those plants became what they are.
Because the DNA mixed and
made them
part of the plantation or the vegetation that's all around.
But mostly it was a mental thing for her too. So mentally, the actual
the anthropologist,
the shimmer, was really messing. How you say their mental issues affected who they were.
Right.
They became like, you knew that the woman who was cutting herself, she felt that she wasn't part of anything.
Right.
And that's why she became what she was.
Because she wanted to be she realized that she can be a part of something, and what she became a part of was the Area X.
Right.
And she welcomed it, and as she welcomed it, it took her.
Right.
And I was like, God damn, that was quick as hell.
Right, it was. So you had the biologist
who was left by herself.
Right, left by herself. So she headed to the White House. I mean, to the lighthouse. I keep calling it the White House. God damn it, the lighthouse. So, because when they started talking about that, the lighthouse, it's like, okay, so everybody, y'all seriously are after getting to the lighthouse. Okay, so be it. When she got there,
so the surrounding areas.
Now, she had her knapsack or her, on the side. The camera had you looking right at the water and looking at her back.
Yeah.
So you didn't know nothing. You said, okay, she's okay. So
she's at the shore.
She's at the shore.
Gotcha.
She turns around.
And the lighthouse is off to the right.
With these crystals.
Trees. I was like, how amazing is this?
That was... That
was a amazing sight.
Oh my goodness, the way he did that.
Yeah, camera work was fantastic.
That's why I had to mention. I was like, she threw her, knapsack down, and I'm like,
and then they pan the camera to the right, and you see the lighthouse in the distance
with all these white,
with these beautiful crystal trees. Crystal trees,
yes,
at the edge of the shore.
Yes, I was getting ready to say, why you leave your knapsack there, girl? Somebody. That's the first thing I thought about. But I was like, oh, now I see why she needed to go in there.
Yep.
That was beautiful. But once she crossed over a certain place, you saw skeletons,
bones, and everything.
Bones, right there. And so I was like, okay, that was another thing I didn't,
I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So when she got in there, it was a hole in the ground.
Yep.
That was one that they showed you.
Where did the hole come from?
Don't know.
Came from the meteor, baby.
Right. Okay. That's what you said. But she saw the hole first. Then you turn around. Then she saw the camera.
She didn't see the camera.
She saw
a burnt body.
Yeah, the burnt body.
Up against the wall.
Right. She did.
And then she turned.
And there was the camera. Right.
Fully charged again.
Right.
No, it wasn't. So when it cut on, the battery was in the red. But come on, really?
First of all, how you ain't closed? How it was closed and you pull it open? If he was recording it, did he not open it up or he kept it closed to record himself?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll give you the answer for that.
Okay.
Because you missed it.
Okay.
So she saw the camera.
Right.
When she looked at the camera, what did it give out? What did she find out when she looked at the camera?
She looked into the camera.
Yeah, when she looked at the recording, what did she find out?
She saw her husband.
And her husband did what?
her husband gave the bomb to himself.
Mm-hmm. And blew himself up. No,
Well,
he didn't
actually-
give himself. He didn't give the bomb to himself. He reached in from his bag and said, what does a fluorescent, feel like or look like? And he said, whatever you do, please tell my wife, or something with my wife.
Right.
And I was like, who the fuck is he talking to?
Right.
So then he blew himself up. Then you see a person walk toward him and look back at the camera. And you like, oh shit, that's him. And then the recording stops.
So that's how he closed
That's
it.
how he closed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how the battery stayed.
Yeah.
Didn't die.
Yeah. So those batteries last like a year.
Apparently.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Those one of those yearly batteries.
Yeah, those are the batteries. Like
all of them.
as
All
long
of them
as you
was yearly
close it-
battery. You close it up,
Yeah, it'll
battery
never
lasts
die.
almost forever.
Never dies.
Almost forever.
So that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. But to me, what was more crazy was her ass went into the fucking hole.
Why did she do that?
So she's a biologist. So everything that they were doing, I kind of question, but you don't question scientists, because scientists always want to know. They always want to know, regardless of safe or whatever. Because when you find something, you're probably going to find something that no one else would find, or no one would understand, or you actually get the answer that you're looking for.
That's why they ain't send no black people down there.
So that was one girl, she a mixed, so part of her one side wanted to go, and the other side was kind of like, oh, you fucking crazy.
Because remember, she wanted to go back. She said, let's go back. We can go back. And the biologist convinced her to keep going. I was like,
Yeah. So then we turn around and she goes into the fucking hole.
And guess who she finds?
The psychologist.
Yes.
Speaking some gibberish shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And she's down in the hole speaking some crazy. Then all of a sudden she said, they're here, they're changing us, and saying all types of crazy nonsense.
Right.
Because I didn't get it. So
And then she breaks up.
then she breaks up into like small light things just floating all over. And then this huge gestating cloud with light in it just bubbling around in the sky and down in this tunnel.
Right.
And the biologist walks up to the bitch. Crazy as fuck, yeah, I know. But she walks up into it, and part of her DNA drops from her because she was cut. And her blood is pulled into this weird object.
Yes.
And once it was pulled in there, it formed a body.
Yes, it did.
A form with no form.
Yes, it was.
You know, it just is a featureless form. Put it that way.
Say it again.
It was a body, but it had no features whatsoever. No eyes, no mouth, no ears. Just a whole body.
Right.
And she was like, "Oh shit!" And then she ran out.
Yes, she did.
Finally, she said, "Oh shit, I'm running out of here."
Exactly.
Not before that, but when she saw that, that's when so it took a formless body out of nowhere for her to start running.
Yeah, and the formless body didn't run after her. She just appeared in front of her.
The formless body was like, and it was upstairs. I was like, how the fuck did it get up there? And I know in her mind, and you can see it in her face, she was like, how the fuck did it get up here? And it was there. Then she went to try to get out, and then the formless body just grabbed her and just crushed her up against the wall. And he was like crushing up against the wall.
But
and she was like,
every move she made, everything she did,
it was
repeated.
It was replicating.
It was replicating.
It was like you move to your right, you move to the left, you move from there. And
she didn't realize, she's like, okay, I gotta blow it up like her husband did.
Yeah. So she turns around, and after the thing crushed up against the wall, they fall on the ground and they fall together. And then the formless thing, when she tried to get up, and she was like, wait a minute. And you can see, and it's Natalie Portman, she walks over to the bag and grabs a phosphorus grenade. She hands it to the formless thing. And then all of a sudden, as soon as she touches her, the formless figure starts looking like her. and the image of her, and she was like, "Oh shit, this thing's trying to look like me." And then she pulls the pin, and she pulls her hands together, and she looks at her, and then it was like click, and she fucking runs out the door, and it's like, and it blows up.
But the whole what is it? Lighthouse starts burning. The
lighthouse just burns
up,
and it starts burning totally down.
It sure did.
And as the lighthouse burns totally down, the trees in the area starts disintegrating.
Yep. So it actually destroyed what
the lighthouse or whatever.
Yeah, it was in there.
Yeah.
No, so there's one thing. Okay. Just one thing. What the black guy got to do with that?
Really nothing. Really nothing.
I got confused with that.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, that was it, and it burns down.
And
but here's the thing. This is what we didn't say. From the beginning of the movie, she's sitting in an area, and everybody has these hazmat suits on. And they ask her, what happened?
Yeah.
And they asking her small questions.
Yes, they were.
And she was somewhat answering, but not answering. And all due breaks through the movie, it's them asking her questions. And she's, I guess, narrating it through of what happened. You don't hear her narration. She just answers the question, and then it goes back to
the story, into the
movie.
You're right.
But at the end, it was kind of like, so we turned around, and what we did, we went back to the lighthouse, and you're right, it was burnt all the way down. Mm-hmm. So then she said, "Where's my husband?"
Yeah.
And she said, "It's funny. He's up and well, but he's, still being isolated."
Right.
So she walks into there.
The person's sleeping.
He's sleeping. And then she walks in and he gets up. And they stand together. And she said, "Are you Nate?" And he said, "I don't know." And then he says, "Are you Lena?" And she doesn't answer him.
Right.
And then they just hug each other. And there's a shimmer around their eyeballs.
Yeah.
And you see it in him. And you was like, well, she accepted him. But then you see the shimmer around
in hers.
And it ends. That was it. Very, very strange. So, your thoughts on it, though? Totally. Because we went through the movie.
Right. And and the one thing is who are they?
So you know they're an alien race. Right. You know that.
Right.
But you don't know why they're doing it.
Right. So did they take over their bodies?
So what they did was they made replicas of their bodies. So as soon as you get inside of there, they have access to your DNA.
Well, see, the shimmer's no longer there. It's gone. Remember? At the end they showed.
But you got 2 replicas.
Right.
From that was made within the shimmer.
So the thing is are the real people dead?
Yeah, most of the real people are dead, baby.
No, so Lena, was it Lena?
Yeah.
And her husband?
Yeah.
Are they the original person?
They blew him. One, he blew himself up.
Right, but
so whoever was telling the story, Lena, that may not have been a true story because whoever came back wasn't a real Lena.
Yeah, because she touched the other person. Mm-hmm. So that means that they may
have... But who was telling the story, though?
Lena.
No.
Who?
It could have been the alien that was telling the story. So she told the story like it was Lena who did it to the alien as opposed to the alien doing it to Lena.
Yeah. Confusing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. So we know.
But interesting, though, right?
Yes, very interesting.
So there's 3 books, though.
So we got 2 more to go?
2 more to go.
Okay.
So didn't do well in the theaters.
Well,
a lot of people was confused who saw it. Critics kind of loved it. Some of them said it was artistically fantastic, sci-fi, but kind of a little muddled down at times. Yeah, I agree with that, but I think it was very interesting. And it probably didn't do well, too, because everybody's still going to see the Black Panther. So
yeah, that's
sorry.
true, too. Yeah.
Sorry.
It stole his thunder.
Yeah, so it didn't get an opportunity to breathe.
Yes.
So I don't think too many movies are going to get a chance to breathe for maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
So overall, though, your thoughts?
It was very, very good. It was the fantasy of it was
The visuals and all of that.
Oh my God! It just it was like you want to know what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
How did it work with the DNA? Did anybody else live? But
Right.
you noticed that as many people that went in, none came out.
Yeah.
The only two that came out. And so what's interesting was her husband was able to get out. Well, the
replica
the
or
replica
whatever.
got out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of his wife, how much he loved his wife. They showed that a lot at the very beginning with their relationship. Mm-hmm. And so the curiosity is this alien want to know, since he been probably part of his body,
Mm-hmm.
what was this thing about his wife, and that's probably why he came out.
Why he came out.
Yeah, to be with her, to knowing that they will drag her into
not knowing, but the new existence, the new creation had that opportunity to get out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was interesting.
Yeah, that to me. So that's why I was trying to understand. So why would he get out to be with her, for her to come in and then she gets out?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What if she won't return?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I think that was another thing too. What did they have in common?
Right.
For the alien to say, I want to find out more about her.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's where I was like, okay, this is interesting. Nobody else had and because all the rest of the people didn't have nobody.
Nope.
So
they were cut off.
Right.
They were all cut off.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Because every last one, I lost my daughter. I don't have a relationship. I cut myself, and I don't have nobody. I'm a psychiatrist,
but the psychiatrist picked everybody for who went in.
Yeah, except for
her.
Yeah.
But she probably did.
Probably did. You're right. She probably did.
So it may not look like she did, but she did. Mm-hmm. So it made it a lot more interesting. You know what I mean?
It did. So that's why I was like, you know what? There's a connection to that. Mm-hmm. There's a connection. So now I'm curious to find out what the second movie is going to be like with them two.
Yeah. Oh, what is their purpose?
Yes. What is their purpose?
Right.
Because now the shimmer's gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
or is it? They said they went to the lighthouse and it was burnt down,
right?
But they didn't say anything about the shimmer,
right?
We assumed that the shimmer was gone, but they showed nothing, no evidence of it.
Well, wasn't the shimmer part of the lighthouse?
Yeah, but we didn't see it though.
Okay.
So what we're doing is assuming,
right?
So I don't really know.
Okay.
Okay.
The fantasy of it. Okay.
So what would you rate it?
Ooh. A 7.5.
Very good.
7.5.
So why isn't it not higher than that?
There was a couple of things though, like the camera thing, and I didn't understand the part where the relationship with the black man had to do with it.
Right. That's Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, that particularly is what mainly kept it down.
So you said a camera and a black man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's okay.
I mean, seriously, I didn't. There was just that part I didn't understand. I didn't think it was.
So if you took away the camera and they put a battery inside there when they showed up, and the black guy never would have showed up in the movie, what would you just?
Okay, so wait, hold up a second. So in the book,
now we ain't talking about the book yet.
No, but I want to know.
I'll let you know, but I'm not talking about the book though.
That's not fair.
No, you said because of the camera and the black guy.
Yeah, but I want.
It's a 7.5.
Okay, so in the book, did it have a camera in there?
So I'm asking.
Seriously, I'm just asking that question.
I'm going to tell you pretty much the book, baby.
Okay.
I'm going to go through that.
All right.
But what I'm saying to you is, if they put a battery in the camera and the black guy didn't exist.
You had a battery in the camera.
No, if they would have put a battery in the camera and it wasn't, a fully charged battery each time, what would you rate it?
I mean, I didn't think it was necessary. Well, I'm like, I don't believe the camera would hold a charge.
I didn't ask you that.
What does that have to do? So what does that have to do with that? I'm giving you a rating, and now you're questioning my rating.
No, if I said if that wasn't a point, because I questioned the rating before, and I said if this was this, what would you rate it? You said, oh, I would have rated higher than that.
I think I would have still rated a 7.5.
So it had nothing to do with that. Okay, I got you. Really, it didn't. You just nitpicked some arbitrary shit.
No, it didn't make sense.
I got you. There's a lot of stuff that didn't make sense in there, though, baby. That had no answers.
I understand that, but
why was a bear in the woods with an alligator?
Why was
in a tropical setting?
Maybe because the whole DNA thing.
No. That didn't make sense. Let me explain why it don't make sense.
Okay.
Usually in a tropical setting, you don't have bears there. But alligators, yes. Bears, no.
Okay, but the bear wasn't that like a forest kind of thing where they were at?
So you got a couple of settings where bears normally are and where alligators are.
So alligators is near the water.
In the water, in a warmer setting in there. Bears aren't in a warmer setting.
Okay.
So.
Did it look like a bear?
Yeah, it was a fucking huge bear with almost like a wolf mouth.
Right. It looked like
the mouth had
like a dinosaur mouth.
Yeah, something like a wolf or a dinosaur, something like that. So it was, I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was broken up. So anyway, so mine was 7.5 because it was confusing, and it didn't give me enough answers. That's why it's 7.5. I think if I would have got more answers, I would have been fine. But then I was like, let me finish the book. Then let me see what that would have went from there. And then maybe the second book will take me to something totally different. So the book and the movie did a better job than the book. The book had the book was her dictating. It was her voice all the way through the book. It gave a lot of details. Part of the details, baby, her husband died. He came back. He was fine. He was kind of like, kind of blank the way he was. Then he passed out. And they didn't know he was back. And then when they found out that he was back, that's when they took her. Everybody that went on the expedition, it took some months of training. The psychiatrist was a crazy bitch. She hypnotized their ass. So when they didn't want to do anything, she had stuff like, the time of the night is clear as day. They all fucking freeze up. And when they freeze up, she would tell them what to do, and they'll just do it. For months, she got there, and she trained with them. And the psychiatrist had and this was crazy because I got this at the end of the book. Annihilation, that was a code word for them to kill themselves. So she would say, annihilation, annihilation. Everyone would kill themselves. That was the code word for it. I was wondering what annihilation meant. And I was like, what the fuck? So the book dragged along with a lot of crazy, unnecessary shit. A lot of what you saw was true. The psychiatrist is pretty much the same way. But the psychiatrist was manipulating them. The psychiatrist got one of them killed. The surveyor girl, she hated the biologist like it was in a movie, but she didn't get killed that way. The biologist killed her ass. The biologist killed her ass. Also, her husband and her was two different people. And she would always leave and go do stuff. And he thought she was having an affair.
Oh, so that's where that part came from.
So except for showing her as a biologist, because what she did in the book, she loved biology. She would go to like ponds and investigate small organisms and stuff like that. But she wanted to be away. She didn't like being around people. But he loved her regardless, and he wanted her to be, hey, join me. She had no friends. Her only friends was his friends. But he wanted her to join in and say, hey, look, just be my wife. And she was kind of like, whatever. You know what I mean? But she was like, but he's my husband, whatever. So she was a very weird character, and the way she was writing up all of this. So all the animals that they showed in there, he added that in there. But there was something that was called the crawler. She called it the crawler. That, it was crazy. They went, that little tunnel, that hole that they went into, that was in somewhere else. That was in a place before they got to the lighthouse. And within the tunnel, there was like scripture and writings on the wall. And the crawler was writing that. But then when they heard him coming, they ran the fuck up out of there. And the psychiatrist brought the surveyor down there. Or was it the anthropologist? I think the anthropologist brought him down there, and the fucking crawler ripped the shit out of her ass and ripped at the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist came back and said, I don't care about y'all. Fuck that. I'm going to the lighthouse. They was like, this bitch is just leaving us. And when she left them, it was just her and the medic girl. And the medic girl was like, you fucking lying to me. You lying. And she was changing because when they went down in the tunnel, there was like phosphorus stuff on the wall. And the biologist breathed it in by accident. That's what made her change. Oh. So she changed only because she breathed in some of the, that was part of that. Everybody else pretty much died. They didn't change. They fucking died. There was no camera. There were journals. Everybody had their own personal journal. So what you found out what was going on, they were collecting journals, and they was able to see journals from everybody and different things like that.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah. So everyone had, hey, when I was here and this, when I did this, and her husband didn't die. Her husband took a boat and went to an island off, because remember, the lighthouse is on the shore,
right?
But off the shore there was like little islands and stuff over there.
Okay.
So within his journal, that's what was said. So when she went to the lighthouse, she found the psychiatrist on the side of the lighthouse, like someone threw her off the side of the fucking lighthouse, and she was all fucked up. But she said she wanted to kill the biologist because as she was walking up, she was glowing. So it was a glow coming out of her, because whatever was changing her was changing her from the inside. But a lot of the details in there, it just took too long. In the end, there was no fucking answers. She didn't come back. She was still in the lighthouse.
Really?
Yeah. She didn't come back. So, but she did see this. She saw replicas of like 7 different people that was on the previous expedition walking up into the lighthouse. Because at the top of the lighthouse was the crawler thing. And it was writing on the fucking walls. Just stuff that was writing on the walls. Really weird. So, a very complex book. I think he did a good job taking away all of that shit from the book that you didn't need to have. There are certain things I think he needed to put in, but mostly he did a good job stripping down the book. And the guy who wrote the book said he made it a good, horror, kind of like get you to jump and everything. He said he did a good job. And I think if you read the book, you would see that, yeah, he did a better job, because it kept going back to her past. It kept going back to before she left the complex where everybody was in, where the psychiatrist was testing her and testing everybody else. So it kept going back and kept going back.
Right.
I think it would have flowed a lot easier if you took all that away.
Okay.
But the book wasn't that long. So that's why he broke it up into 3 different books. So he filled the book up with a lot of unnecessary things. But the premise of it is absolutely right. The premise is exactly whatever those aliens were doing, they're changing their environment, but you don't know why they're doing it. So the other books have to give you an answer in reference of that. So comparing the book to the movie, it makes you understand that the two blended together with the concept of a meteor that hit. And after the meteor hit, the aliens was in there, and it starts changing the environment, mixing the DNA with plant, with water, with animals, with insects. And then when it ran into human DNA, it changed it with that as well. So it made it a very, very complex and interesting kind of movie that I say, and that's why I rated it a 7.5, because he did a really good job. But when you in a movie, you still want a little answers, unless you're gonna do the next movie. If you're gonna do the next movie, then I'm okay that the cliffhanger was right there. But he left it open. He left it open in that way, because now you got two individuals that are part of this alien race, and you don't really know what they're going to do.
Well, it sounds like the book was interesting.
It was.
So it's kind of different to say that it doesn't. It's totally different from the movie.
So the movie made it interesting more by stripping away the level of details that you just didn't need to have.
Yeah, but the ending was different from the ending of the book.
So the ending of the book didn't give you an answer. It gave worse answers than
the movie.
But the book stopped that way because it said, you need to read the next book. Okay. The movie stopped that way as saying, if I do another movie, I'll give you an answer. If I don't give another movie, there's aliens.
There's aliens
that's here.
Yeah.
So you're good and you're bad. You know what I mean? So he left that pretty much. But I think as a director, I think he did a really good job. I think visually he did a very good job. Storyline, he did an excellent job really doing a screenplay from the book. So he did a good thing. Did he need to put the, with the black guy? No, he didn't need to. But he couldn't explain that relationship with her husband and her, that he was always gone. And she didn't care because she was a biologist. So her life was just with organisms. That's what she loved to do. She'd rather be with organisms than people. But they made it that he kept leaving her and he wasn't intellectually up to her standards, and that's why she had an affair. That wasn't why. It was because she's a strange person. I don't know if you can write that into a movie, though. So it's easy. He took the easy way out and said, yep, she had an affair, but then she regretted it and said, get the fuck out of here. Put your clothes on and don't come back, motherfucker. So that was easy to do.
Yeah.
The camera gave you examples of what they were saying in the book, in their journals. So the reason for the cameras, except for them taking time reading the journals, that's what the camera was for.
Right.
So it made sense for them to use the camera. That's why I was telling you, no, there wasn't. But the reason for it is the journals, that it took time, and he took a couple of pages going through these journals. So it would have took a lot of times if he would have put the journal aspect in there. So it's easier to give you a visual than a written.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can understand why he did it, but the journals do sound like it was interesting.
Yeah, because they gave level of details of different people.
He could have put it in there in a certain kind of way, but again, he wanted
what he
to
should have done. Yeah, he wanted to shorten it up. Yeah.
He wanted to shorten it up. But I think that, finding the journals in certain spots where, where they were stacked up or something like that. And some, it doesn't have to go into detail of what they find, but just little spurts of, okay, this is what happened, from what I read. But like you said, the camera did more than enough for them.
So what he should have done was show like a library of videotapes, that everybody did that. So you at least being able to say, oh, everybody took a video journal. You could at least did that. So then everybody had their own story.
Well, like they said, to carry the cameras on them. You know how cops carry the cameras on them?
Right.
They could have done that too.
No, they couldn't because they couldn't have those electronics with them. They
They
limited
were.
the amount of electronics that they had because they knew that the environment would take the electronics and change it
Okay.
and use it in a different way. So they figured that the environment was doing that. That's why they tried to limit the amount of type of technology that they brought there to them. Also, what was interesting in the book, and I wish they would have done this, they had like a box connected to them. And the box showed them, well, it had an indication if something was going wrong, it would light up. They had like something that would light up, and they all had that. So if environment was toxic or whatever like that, something would indicate that on the box, and they would all have it on. Come to find out, it wasn't anything. It kept them being aware. It just said, just be aware. So if anything was dangerous, they look down to that and say it's not light up. So psychologically, it keeps them saying, even though you may think it's dangerous, there's no indication that there's no danger. So you have to calm down. So it was like almost like a placebo to say, calm down. But the psychiatrist, when the psychiatrist jumped off the wall and she was asking her questions like, why the fuck did you do this? And they went to a Q&A at the end. It was really good. To me, that was better than her being in a whole gibbering. She should have been questioning her and her giving her answers of what was her job and why all of this was going on and doing that. But he didn't do that. I think that's what he could have done. And that was a good portion of the book that I think he really should have added into that. But so overall, I like the movie. I like it because it was strange. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think I liked it because it was kind of it threw you off. It wasn't a straightforward movie. It threw you off. And then in the end, it threw you off. You know, like Ex Machina, she left. You don't know where she went. You don't know where she's going. You don't even know if she would survive. But she was gone.
Yeah.
You got two aliens right there. You don't know.
Yeah, you didn't know. I really liked the movie because it was just the imagination of it.
Yeah. It was very creative.
Yeah, it was very creative.
And if you read the book, you would appreciate his movie, though. You know, some books, like, for example, they had different versions of the girl who kicks the hornet's nest and the girl with the dragon tattoo. But they did good jobs once you read the book that moved that over. There's not a lot of books that transfers over that well. This one, I think he did a better job than the book. And he may have left some things out, but I think visually and everything, you didn't see the visuals in the book like you saw in the movie.
Okay.
She said it, and you kind of could picture it, sort of. But in the movie, it jumped out. And he made sure you knew the animals changed too.
Right.
Not just the environment and everything else. The animals changed. And I'm going to show you how the animals changed.
Right.
Which I thought was pretty cool too. Anywho. So you had a 7.5. I actually had a 7.5 too. I could push it up a little higher, but I wanted more answers. The problem was when I read the book, it didn't give me the answers either. So he pretty much gave me what the book was, but that doesn't make it right. To me, that still don't make it right, bruh. Now, if the next book showed that that's what happened and these aliens got out, then I can understand what this ending was about. But now I got to read the second book.
Yeah. So get the answers you need.
Yep. Then I can get the answers.
So
I'll go from there.
knowing what they're going to do in the second movie.
So it didn't do well. It's not doing well.
Right.
Critically acclaimed, but it's not doing well. So
They're not getting their money back.
They're not getting their money back as fast as they can. And now it's going up against, what is it, Red Sparrow?
Yeah, Red Sparrow comes out.
And Death Wish.
Yeah, Death Wish is crazy with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, but, that's just a crazy Bruce Willis movie. Yeah. And it reminds you of the Death Wish. So people will go see it and go, oh, Death Wish, Charles Bronson. Yeah, I remember that. So go from that. But we'll see. He's a good director. The critics really gave a lot of credit to what he did. Some critics said, yeah, it was kind of boring in certain ways. Well, the book was too. So if you read the book, you'll appreciate the movie a lot more. But pretty good though. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to change my vote, but I think he did a really good job, and I appreciate that. Anything else, Booby?
No, that's it.
Urban Lifestyle Cafe. Follow us on bougieblackbrother.com website under Urban Lifestyle Cafe, or if you can, catch us on Spotify. Getting a lot of good reviews on music and movies on Spotify. So catch us on there. We got a lot of good things popping up there. Google Play, Spreaker, Podbean. That's where we actually do our actual podcast from there. So if you want it clearly, subscribe there or put the app on your actual devices, phones, whatever, and you can get it quickly. But leave us notes too. Instagram and Twitter. Find BLK Woman, Find Black Woman, and Bougie Black Bro, BRO. Leave us some things. I appreciate there's a couple of people that we go back and forth, and I told them I owed them a review, and I'm going to throw it out there for them. So that's all we have, and that's Urban Lifestyle Cafe, and we'll see you next Wednesday. We got a couple more. We got a comedy coming up, and I got to see it. I think it's good. I don't think it's Good Times or Game Time, something like that. Yeah. But whatever. But it's people are going away saying you laugh soon as you start, and you're gonna laugh once it ends. So we do for a good comedy. So we'll be coming up soon with that. And thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time on Urban Lifestyle Cafe. Bye.
Bye.